All right, guys, welcome back to
Mm,
Guided Primal Sutra podcast. We're back with Ryan G,
us.
and we're talking all about how healing needs warriors, not know-it-alls. I think it's a great topic
That is correct.
because initially, when we thought of this topic, we were talking about, our therapy experiences in the past. Myself and Ryan G, we both had went to therapy twice in our lives, and we were just pondering on like what was missing from that experience.
Well, I can
And
only speak based on my own experience, of course, and I've mostly
yeah.
had therapy with women, to be honest. Now, that's not taking away the value that they've provided, but seeing how you did ask me for what I missed was that I couldn't necessarily copy them one to one, meaning I was looking for, if you want to put it in the Carl Jung's perspective. I was looking for my own
Mm,
father through these women, which was not the right thing to do. Yes,
right.
a lot of feminine
That's an
healing did
archetypal
happen,
mismatch for sure.
right?
But yeah. Yeah.
A lot of self-love things happened that I was not even aware that there was an option, which I'm very grateful for these women for. But
Yeah.
especially the last one was a complete mismatch, and it was just like you're just reading from a framework. This is not
Mm,
okay.
yeah.
But I'm happy you're being paid by the company.
Yeah, one thing that I do appreciate about psychotherapy in general is their ability to want to get to a root cause. Like I respect their need to pinpoint the disorder back to its absolute core essence of it. But again, it's like, why are we going to trust a know-it-all who's spent so much time in their head experiencing this without going through the fire of transformation, and actually, giving you their perspective? Because if somebody who's a practitioner now, who's gone through depression themselves, and now they're giving depression advice to people, like that's way more valid than somebody, as opposed to somebody who just studies it from a textbook, right?
Well,
So,
there's an
yeah.
argument to be made that the best fighters don't make the best coaches. There's an
Mm,
argument to be made, right? That being
mm,
said, everything is a skill and anything can be learned. And that being said, if you have gone to the Olympics, you tend to have more authority over, what it takes to get there. So
mm,
it really depends on how you want to look at it. From the answer to the question that I've answered, Sumit, was what I was missing was the manly man I could look up to. The old wise uncle, let's say Uncle Iroh,
yeah, we're all looking
right?
for that Merlin character, like that old wise
Exactly.
wizard, like, yeah, totally.
And that was one of the main things that I've been missing. But has this archetype reached out to me in the most randomest of places? Yes. Like when I was in the Netherlands and I was having a hard time, I worked in pretty much like a flower farm, I suppose. And
Mm,
one of the old men told me something that has pretty much dictated my career for a very long time, and that would be everything has a system. Figure out the system, exploit the system. And it,
mm,
it just kind of like blew my mind, like he's absolutely right. And after hearing that, I became one of their best, so to speak, even though I was like am a short Indian dude in a land of giants.
mm,
The fastest, the best, highest quality, you name it. I made it my mission to learn their system and beat them with speed and accuracy. Did it wear me out?
right.
Abso-fucking-lutely. But so what?
Mm.
Yeah. How about you,
I won't.
Sumit? What kind of therapy did you go through?
Yeah, I've been to two therapists, and I've had both a male and a female experience with a therapist,
Yeah?
and I've understood kind of both hemispheres of that experience. Like one is way more in touch with their emotions, and the other one is very practical and to the point, really getting you towards the root cause, like I said. But my
Would you say
issue
that
with
you would
this,
need both?
Ryan, is
Yeah, your issue is?
well, my issue with this whole thing is you notice how the second someone feels something real, rage, grief, existential
Hmm.
dread, the weight of this world, they're instantly told that's a disorder, take a pill, right? So the
Yeah,
moment you
I've seen
acknowledge
it
your life
before.
force, it's like we're over medicating the soul. I truly believe that. Like if you walk into a psychiatrist's office and like talk about your emotions, your thoughts, your dreams, they hand you a label, a diagnosis, a sedative,
It's
right?
well,
Like you're a car that
hmm.
that needs its parts replaced, right?
Imagine you have a car, right? And you send it to the mechanic and it comes back more broken. That doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. I'm not trusting you with my car again. That's why,
Yeah.
don't fuck with a good car mechanic. Same with doctors, same with a masseuse, same with the people that fix your food. If they're
Yeah.
good, they're good. What I then find ironic is they try to heal you for what they know. And we've heard about this before, they're not here to heal you. They're here to make a client. They're here to make, sell their product. And,
Yeah.
kudos where kudos are due, they're hustlers and they need to push a product. So in some sense, they are dealers. The thing
They're
is,
peddlers, the pusher
the
man.
better,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They're drug peddlers in a
drug
sense, but
peddlers
yeah,
in a
what
sense.
happened to actually listening to someone and like what happened to asking why something feels this way,
Well, we,
Instead
we
of
have been
y-
listening, but the question is the matter of fact is as he or she that's supposed to be healed, should be aware of what you need. And if you don't know what you
mm,
need, look at patterns of people who have gone through something similar and ask yourself, do you want to be in the same position? If the position is
yeah,
positive, then by simple logic, fucking go ask them how they got there. And if it's not the
yeah,
position that you want to be in, avoid. I've never had to
yeah,
be medicated as far as psychology, well, sorry, mental stuff. What seemed to have a big impact on me is willingly doing psychedelics in the right environment with the right people and setting a very clear intention and just whatever comes, let it come all the way. And whatever I must feel. And just
yeah.
allowing
Because it's
either the
mind
depression.
expanding, right? That's what
Yes,
psychedelic is. So it's mind expanding instead of
true,
mind limiting.
true. Yeah, indeed, let it come all the way to Excel. What I've noticed
Hmm,
is, let's say I would have depression, that depression would be multiplied by 1,000, like that level of sensitivity. And I get
hmm,
to well, not per se confront, but sit more face to face with what it is. At least I'm at the level at the moment. And I
hmm,
must allow myself to feel as deeply as I can into this emotion, like a stretch, like when the masseuse has found a knot in your back or something, because it's always a fucking back, and and needs it out of it, right? And that to allow the blood to flow again. And shit, what if the depression is trying to teach you something? And maybe other therapists have
yeah.
evolved past what they've learned from the universities, etc. But the
Yeah,
ones
it's
that
like a
I,
spiritual freeze, like depression, because it's a shutdown from
yes,
years of suppression.
yes,
So,
yes. Funny
yeah.
enough, my acupuncturist, who's also a psychologist, has said something very similar. A lot of men have very strong natural frontal bills, but their backs tend to be sensitive for some reason. Tends to be
Because the
um,
subconscious, yeah, yeah,
right, the subconscious, and
yeah,
certain parts are strong, certain parts are sensitive, and of course, she read me like a book. And
mm,
what I'm trying to say with this, healing is not merely therapy. It is physical movement. It is getting massages, willingly taking a challenge, a very difficult challenge, and accepting whatever outcome. and assuming you've won, right?
Mm.
And shit, if you're depressed, right? Fucking start moving, see how happy you feel. Doesn't necessarily mean you've solved the solution, but you've then transmuted the emotion, right?
Yeah, for force random social encounters so at least you can get a little bit of other people's good energy and vibes. Like that's what
Ah,
would really
yeah.
get your morphic resonance field like
Ah, yeah.
more in tune with happiness and higher vibration. So,
Isn't it
yeah.
funny that when you choose peace, you're gonna have to cut it for a lot of people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God isolates you to grow you. One of those quotes, right?
Well,
But
if
yeah,
you want to look at a seed, the first thing you do with a seed is you take a sponge or whatever it's called. You put a glass of water, you put it on this sponge,
yeah.
and you let what's it, I forget what it's called in English, but you let you let the roots grow, and then you plant it in the soil. Right, so you give it a base first, and then you
Mm,
plant it with the rest. I believe it's called a seedling,
right.
from seed to seedling and then plant or something. I'm
Yeah,
not a
yeah.
biology guy, but it's just something I do remember from biology class. And I believe
But yeah,
it's the same thing, right? When
yeah,
it comes to
man.
scaling up
I
your
think
healing.
there's such a difference between you're not alone in this and here you go, you're on your own, right? And I think too many therapy spaces don't get the difference between like I see you, I'm with you, I'm walking this together with you. That's like brotherhood, right? Not that's more like a soul presence. Whereas you're on
Mm.
your own is more like here's a worksheet, you right? Follow this framework, schedule another session, good luck.
So there's a time and place for both, right? In my case, I was given the isolated part, and I had to learn to gamify my own mental health.
Yeah,
Um, and
totally.
by way of doing that, I somehow managed to get some validation that I do have some value, etc., etc., etc. This gamification has, of course, brought in great boons to my life. Um, but feeling heard would have been cool. Feeling heard by
Yeah.
a man of authority would have been cool. Yeah, yeah.
Totally, man. Like imagine someone telling you, bro, I've been through hell too, right? I'm standing with you in it now. Like that's really powerful, actually, that mentality.
You
That I
know
think that's
what?
what's missing. You're right.
You know what? Uh, if I had to take my recent breakup to a therapist,
Oh, oh, Lordy Lord.
do you have any idea how much more damage it would have done to me compared
Yeah, I
to,
can see it now. Yeah, now that you said it.
you know,
It's
and
yeah.
especially the type of borderline obsessive nature that I have when it comes to relationship, that I want to just,
You would have them pick it apart completely. I
yeah,
know.
I don't take
And
my,
dug yourself
uh,
further into your own psyche. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But do you know who really helped me out? Without naming what exactly we did? Brad, for sure. So during our
Mm.
session, technically two, it did come up, right? And he just told me what it is, from man to man, and I just figured, cool. If people want to bet against Ryan G and
Well, the
lose,
cool thing that I noticed about Brad is he's able to look at your fit, like your structure, your aura, and he'll tell you like that's the entity you're working with. That's the mental illness in a sense that you have,
in some
or
sense, yeah,
that's the thing that you most have a shadow with in a sense. So he sees that immediately. Like he called out depression in Ryan and anxiety in me within an instant of just
yep,
working with us. So yeah,
yeah,
that's really like he can hold the presence of a monk, but he speaks truth like a boxer. And it's almost like
yeah,
you c- you kind of have to nod and kind of let his energy roar at you until you
yeah,
soften in a sense.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, that's divine masculine, man.
for
Like whatever
sure,
that
for
energy
sure.
was.
Um,
Yeah.
there's not enough Brad for this world, that's for sure. No people like him, men like him, and
Mm.
he might have saved us 25 years of time with 2 sessions. that we've done with him. And
Yeah.
if we had 2 more months in New Zealand, I think we would have owned a pretty big real estate of the spiritual realm there. But yeah, you
Mm.
gotta make choices here.
Yeah,
Maybe at
we need
another time.
initiation, not just medication. I'm not anti-medication, of course, like if it gets to a crisis, medical intervention can be very helpful. But let's get one thing clear. If your therapist makes you feel like a diagnosis, then they're carving your storyline for you, right? They're like giving you a label and showing you your own power. So you can walk out of that session feeling like a patient or
Yeah,
fucking,
yeah, 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 yeah,
Dracula.
yeah.
It's up
Yeah,
to
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, 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 yeah. I remember that feeling. That was so the one I continued and the one I quit were very different.
hmm.
Both were women, and the one made me feel very validated, and the other made me feel like I was a patient or something. And I hated it.
Mm,
Ugh,
mm,
like it was just
mm.
such. Could also be a energetic mismatch looking back. Talk about almost what
Yeah.
5+ years ago, and
Yeah.
no,
When
no.
you're walking through the underworld, you got to come back with some keys, not just a bunch of scripts that you that you read there. So it's like you have to learn how to hold space and then activate that space. So it's like you're not broken, you're not too much. If you're just listening to this podcast for the first time, you're probably awakening in a world that doesn't know what to do with awakened people. So
Well, it's the same
it is what it
thing
is.
with the Avatar, right? Avatar: The Last Airbender, that series.
Yeah.
Imagine you're an
Yeah.
Avatar with amnesia. Fucking what now, man?
Mm,
What fucking
right.
now, man? You dream of dreams you have barely an understanding of,
Like
like
Paul
the
Atreides
usual
in Dune,
dreams.
right? Getting random visions and he's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
forced to
yeah.
kind of follow them. And it's like the intuition versus his own logical mind, in a sense, the journey of that. Yeah.
Well, the last thing I remember of that, he had to use both aspects, the masculine side
Yeah.
and the feminine side, as males aren't allowed to, have the
Sword and
secret
shield. Yeah, in a sense.
sword and
Yeah.
shield. Oh, which reminds me,
Mm.
if there is
Primal Sutra
a
adept. Yeah.
right,
Yeah. Yeah.
if there is a king of all weapons, there has to be a queen of all weapons, and the queen has
Mm.
always been the shield, as it is the most
Mm.
reliable weapon you can have. And why is it a weapon, Sumit? Because you can use it to smash someone's head in.
Yeah.
Because you're technically holding a door at some point and you're just smashing the rib, the head, whatever. And with the king is it can be a sword. I prefer a pole axe, whatever. Exactly,
But
Tixon.
yeah, therapy needs more badasses. This is what we were kind of basically talking about. Like we need people who have walked through death and come back with like the elixir of life.
Okay, just to play devil's advocate for a second, every
Yeah.
person needs something else. And you, as the to be healed, as you have, let's say, taken on this storyline of healing, then it doesn't really matter where you get the healing from as long as you get it. Use your common
That's a
sense.
very Machiavellian approach, Ryan, to healing. Like, doesn't matter where, just go and do it.
Yeah, well,
Like,
well, well, let's be fucking pragmatic. Let's,
yeah.
I don't
I
think it's
think we
necessarily
should
pr
use a combination of Machiavellianism with Stoicism, so at least we have the balance of it. You know what I mean?
I
Otherwise,
mean, I see
because
what
one
you
is
mean.
pure like chaos, can get away with anything, like murder and all
Well,
these horrible things to
well,
get your ends meet.
again, read the fucking disclaimer. Don't be an idiot.
Right, right, right. But
Don't
it's a gangster
don't.
approach. I get it, right? It's cool to glamorize it on TV or whatever, but it's not cool to be at the brunt of that kind of behavior. So we kind of have to think like, okay, if I was in his shoes, that much power in my hands, like would I let that expand me or would I let that completely crumble me, right? So what happened eventually to Machiavelli? Did his empire thrive or like I don't really know much of that. But
You think I know, but I don't remember either.
maybe we should just
He was an
like do
advisor. He
some
was never a king. but simply an
Do some
advisor.
spiritual research into this. Yeah, it's interesting.
Maybe, maybe. The point I'm trying to make is the to be healed has first authority over what the healing entails.
Right. Yeah.
And thus, who gets to heal him or her? One major red flag for me when it comes to therapy would be that they decide to become an authority in my life. That's a red flag for me. You are not an
Right.
authority. You don't get to dictate my life. You get to help me. You get to advise me. You get to coach me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm paying for. I'm not here for another mother or another, abusive dad or whatever. Not interested. I am here
Mm.
for a trusted advisor. And
Yeah.
we have had both. We've had the good, we've had the bad. Yeah. Yeah.
So the original word healing, right? It means to make whole,
To
to
make whole,
return to
yes.
wholeness. Yeah.
To
So
return
it's
to
not about
wholeness again.
feeling better. It's always been about remembering integration. Parts that got fractured, now
Yep.
coming back to a center.
Yes.
So it's the art of becoming whole. So that's not medication, right?
That
In a
is not
sense that
medication.
because it's fracturing you even further. It's numbing you out,
Right.
right? Where you're not
Yep.
facing the wound, you're just bypassing it. So
Yep.
now you have to reconnect with source again, or your baseline is what we've learned in New Zealand.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
And
Back
also,
to source.
also
Yeah.
pharmakia, right? It means sorcery. So it means poisoning and the use of spells and drugs to manipulate or control. So
Well,
they
it's in the
actually even
name.
used binding spells back in the day, to enslave or to deceive. And I think in a certain sense, it is kind of like a force that binds through illusion. My guides are telling me not to speak further about this because we will be targeted, so I'm just gonna keep quiet.
Yeah. Let's do 7 more minutes and before we overstep our boundaries.
Yeah.
And
So
if you want to
it
know
takes a
more, you
lot of
have to join
strength,
the adepts. Anyway, what?
Yeah. It takes a lot of strength to like sit with pain, right? To love through
Yeah.
confusion, to just be kind in the face of betrayal. Fuck, bro. It's tough. Really tough. I mean,
Um,
anyone can be cold or they can run, but to stay open? Holy shit, that's a warrior.
if you would compare the recent betrayal that I have experienced compared to when you first saw me go through a very heavy betrayal related to one of my exes, there's a clear difference because one was just, it fucking destroyed me, man. And I had to like pick myself up step by step. And then going through a very layered betrayal, which was so subtly well done that I didn't even notice that it happened. And then you
Yeah.
see the moment I realized it, I'm like, oh, is that how small you are? Cool. As I'm trying to help you, you're sticking a knife into my back. Okay. You go figure it out. I'm getting paid regardless.
Yeah.
And
And
how
that's the
long
real
has
power.
it?
Like you chose to heal yourself from it.
Yes.
Whereas you could have definitely fought dirty, use all kinds of spells, use all
Well, I
kinds of
could have
fucked up
hedged them to
shit.
to
Like
to hell. Yeah.
but your ethics and your character won the day, and then your spirit guides accepted you as the spiritual alpha, and therefore then getting the powers available
Exactly.
to
So a
you,
quick
right? The siddhis.
footnote. Don't always need to be the bigger man. Sometimes an ass whooping is in order. Sometimes, hey, just because you meditate doesn't mean I won't slap you. You know what I'm saying? Or I should have said, just because I meditate doesn't mean I won't slap you.
Right, right. But it works both ways. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
What's the sound of one hand clapping that he slaps him?
Well, that's this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I always did, at least. You see,
Um,
bro, neurodivergent minds, bro.
uh, one of the most
Compassionate
important
savage.
things. What do you mean?
I mean, like it's not soft, right? It's surgical. It's like you have to be able to withstand the storm with compassion.
Yes, you must be able to sit with the pain, not holding on to it, but allowing the pain to do what the pain must do. It's like again being at a
Exactly.
masseuse
It's
and she's
bioelectrical charge.
just using
Yeah.
her skinny ass elbow and just rubbing that knot off, and you're just tearing up as an adult man, right? You're just dying, and she knows what she's
Well,
doing. She
because
knows she's killing you, you know?
it's because of your acupressure points too, because yeah, that holds a lot of emotions, a lot of memory.
Mm,
So that's
right.
yeah, I think everybody, if they're like, let's say you don't have a partner, you should definitely self-massage. Like you should get into the habit of doing it for yourself because honestly, like it's one of those things that at least I've overlooked on my spiritual path, like just working with certain things and just adding intention to them and then making it swift and effective. Like not making it this long, fucking routine, just like quick and effective. Like we knew, Ryan G. Remember when we used the magnesium body oil, right? The
Yeah.
fucking lavender. These were effective tools. It wasn't like, us going on a fucking, field
Ah,
trip.
yeah, I'll never
It,
forget using those magnesium all on my
my
feet.
goodness.
Jesus, the
My
first
goodness.
time was just fucking hell.
Yeah. We all
It's
have
like
a
my
like vitamin deficiencies apparently.
oh
Like you
sure.
you should definitely get that checked because that could be a cause of like energy level droppages
Hmm.
and stuff like that too. So
Yep.
yeah, definitely get
I
that checked.
remember when I was back in South America, how empowered I felt with the sun shining onto me. Like
Mm,
yeah, the European sun doesn't do that for me. I just feel like, oh,
yeah.
okay, I have a bit of vitamin D, but in Suriname, where I'm like, nah, I feel powerful, man.
Mm.
So yeah, we are saying eat well, sleep well, take fucking vitamins, like what Hulk Hogan says, you know.
You're
Focus
right.
on the basics. Get your basics in order. Do you sleep enough? Do you have a set bedtime, wake up time, etc.? Do you exercise regularly? Do
Mm,
you walk? Do you socialize? Eat your ways and your
mm.
wheats or whatever TXL is trying to say. Have you considered
Eat your
self-massaging?
Wheaties, yeah. Eat your
Oh,
Wheaties.
Wheaties. I don't know what he means by that.
It's like a breakfast cereal.
Ah, okay. Interesting. Let's focus on the outro now.
All right. So yeah, it's remember mental dis-ease, the opposite of that is mental ease, if you really look at the
Mm,
word verbiage, right? And the more
mm,
you can get yourself to imagine that you're already healing, like your body, mind, spirit complex can handle this shit, and
yep,
you got this. That's when your healing starts. It's not when someone gives you a prescription or, tells you your story. It's when you understand that you've always been this wholeness this whole time.
right,
Osa.
right. That being said, this
All
has
right,
been
guys.
GVS, Guided Primal Sutra. I wish you the very best. My name is Ryan G with my co-host, Sumi Chatterjee.
May the
Good
flow be
morning,
with
good
you.
evening, good night, and may the flow be with you.